The smell came first, long before the bodies, long before the arrests, long before the name Anthony Sowell became synonymous with failure and horror in Cleveland. Because for nearly 2 years, a house on Imperial Avenue breathed out death, and no one stopped it. Even as neighbors complained, police knocked, and women vanished into silence. Anthony Sowell was born in 1959 and grew up in Cleveland, a man shaped early by violence and instability, already showing a pattern of aggression long before his crimes escalated, and by 1989, he had been convicted of rape and sentenced to prison, serving roughly 15 years before being released in 2005, a detail that would later haunt the city when it became clear how closely the past mirrored the future. After his release, Sowell returned to Cleveland and settled into a decaying 2-story house at 12,205 Imperial Avenue, a neighborhood worn down by poverty and neglect, where survival meant minding your own business and where disappearances rarely triggered urgency. And it was there, between 2007 and 2009, that Sowell began hunting. He targeted women on the margins of society, women struggling with addiction, homelessness, or unstable lives, women whose absence would not immediately spark alarms, meeting them on the street and offering what sounded like relief: drugs, alcohol, a place to rest, inviting them inside his house, a place that from the outside looked abandoned, but inside became a trap. Once inside, Sowell assaulted them and strangled them until they lost consciousness, a method that left little noise and even less evidence. And while some women survived and later described waking up disoriented and injured, many never did. Instead of disposing of the bodies far away, Sowell kept them close, hiding them in bedrooms, the basement, closets, crawl spaces, and shallow graves in the yard, living among the dead while continuing his daily routine, eating, sleeping, and walking the streets as if nothing surrounded him except walls. As months passed, the odor of decomposition began seeping into the neighborhood, thick and unmistakable, prompting repeated calls to police, neighbors describing a smell so strong it made windows useless and summer unbearable. Officers responding, knocking on Sowell's door, questioning him briefly, accepting explanations about sewage problems, trash, or dead animals, and leaving without conducting a full search, one visit even misidentifying decomposing remains as a large dog, a moment that would later symbolize how close the truth had been and how easily it was dismissed. Survivors tried to warn authorities too, women who escaped Sowell's grip and reported being choked until they blacked out, waking up terrified and fleeing. But their reports did not stop him, and the killings continued. By 2009, the house had become a storage site for death, bodies stacked in different states of decomposition while the smell worsened. Yet still the system failed to intervene until October 22, 2009, when one woman managed to escape after being assaulted and ran directly to police, providing details too specific to ignore, leading officers back to Imperial Avenue with urgency that had been missing for years. When police entered the house this time, the smell hit immediately, overwhelming and undeniable, and as they searched, they began discovering bodies hidden throughout the property, each discovery escalating the horror, confirming that the house was not just a crime scene, but a mass grave. In total, 11 women were confirmed murdered, their remains scattered throughout the house and yard, later identified as Florence Williams, Diane Turner, Angela Deskins, Tashawn Johnson, Kimberly McFadden, Crystal Dozier, Telveda McQueen, Stephanie Sprang, Chevery Collins, Donna McClendon, and Marianne Green, women ranging in age from 27 to 52, each with families who had waited for answers while the truth sat in plain sight. Anthony Sowell was not inside the house when the bodies were found, triggering a massive manhunt across Cleveland as his face flooded news broadcasts and patrol cars searched streets, bus stops, and fast food restaurants, until he was arrested 2 days later on October 24, 2009. Without resistance, the quiet man finally cornered. During interrogation, Sowell showed little emotion as the scale of his crimes emerged, evidence mounting rapidly as forensic teams cataloged remains, personal belongings, and physical proof tying him to each death. The case moved swiftly to trial, where survivors testified about being lured inside, assaulted, and strangled, their voices filling the courtroom with details that confirmed patterns prosecutors had already pieced together, while the defense attempted to challenge evidence and responsibility, but failed to dismantle the overwhelming weight of facts. In 2011, Anthony Sowell was convicted on multiple counts of aggravated murder, rape, kidnapping, and abuse of corpses, and was sentenced to death, a verdict that brought some measure of closure but could not erase the anger surrounding how long the crimes had gone unnoticed. Public outrage focused not only on Sowell, but on the repeated failures that allowed him to operate openly, on the missed chances, ignored warnings, and assumptions that dismissed the lives of vulnerable women as less urgent, turning the house on Imperial Avenue into a symbol of systemic neglect. While awaiting execution, Sowell remained on death row until 2021, when he died of natural causes in prison, never facing the execution he was sentenced to, leaving behind unanswered questions about how many chances had been missed and how many lives might have been saved. The Imperial Avenue house was eventually demolished, but its story remained etched into Cleveland's memory as one of the most devastating serial murder cases in Ohio history, not because the killer was invisible, but because the warning signs were everywhere and still, for far too long, nothing was done.